Experience the zen of making, hosting, and sharing great software in a single, portable, self-updating vanilla HTML file. I usually use React to create website, and I'm always interested in making the tool as light as possible and using the right tool for the right job. So I'm always interested in, do we have to use React? As common as it is, what are the alternatives? What are the easy ways to do it? So I'm all ears for any vanilla type of applications, and also how they were used and why they were used, and if that's really applicable in the real applications. So let's have a read. It's from Hyperclay. Build web apps like you are sculpting clay, not managing infrastructure. Modern web development forces you through layers of abstraction, config files, build steps, magic frameworks, deployment pipelines. Hyperclay returns to a simpler model. Your app is a single HTML file you and your clients manipulate directly. Edit the file through its visual UI and it persists its own state. I think I love the idea of just simplifying the management, but the visual UI bit is always a bit of an orange flag to the developers. But it's for you and your clients, so it makes sense that there's a visual UI. What if web apps were as simple to edit as documents? Hyperclay makes it possible. UI, logic, and data live in one self-modifying HTML file. Edit it live, share it instantly, download it, and use it locally. It's Google Docs for interactive code. Shareable, portable, malleable apps, but you fully control document, what it looks like, and how it's edited. I think it's interesting because there's the idea of what is it called, partner coding, and I've heard successful cases and I've also heard unsuccessful cases. There are supporters for this idea and there are supporters for against these ideas, and I've seen both experienced developers in both sides, so it's a confusing stance for me. Direct manipulation. Edit your app while it's running, no compile step, no refresh needed. Changes happen instantly, like editing a document, share a URL, and users see your updated page. What you see is what you build. The UI is the app itself. When you modify the interface or edit the source in dev tools, you are directly changing the application. There's no abstraction layer. True portability. Export your app as an HTML file that runs anywhere, offline, on any server, forever. Version control tracks every save, protecting you from irreversible mistakes. The coolest part is just an HTML file, nothing special. Change it, it serializes its DOM and sends it to a save endpoint. Nothing magic about it. The tech. Hyperclay is a Node.js server and front-end JS library, JavaScript library that allows HTML pages to update their DOM and then replace their own HTML source with the updated version. Imagine clicking a checkbox which has the checked attribute to its element, then using Hyperclay to globally persist this version of document body outer HTML so that it's there next time someone visits the page. There's automatic versioning and read-writes permissioning. There are example HTMLs, the why and the how. Let's see the examples here. Devlog, email me, games are windows into. Okay. Writer, publish your thoughts instantly. Kanban board. You can make something like this. Okay, so this is showing that it is very modifiable, very flexible. This looks like almost like when you make a website through what is it called? like the popular package to make website. Not make website, but it comes with all the templates and things like that. And I guess it's like a middle ground of that. It's not exactly as user friendly as that, but it's easier than if you had to look at HTML codes directly. So that's interesting. The why and the how. I build several dozen websites a year. Is it clickable? Okay, so each of these actually is a website that David built. When I'm in flow, coding a website feels like writing a story. But it's better than a story because I can interact with it as I'm coding. Most of the things I build transform some data into a more useful format. For example, monthly expenses into minimum hourly rate, fill out a form, landing page, drag your mouse, animation path. Static websites are the obvious place to host these simple tools. Less code, static website, free hosting, easy. But static websites fall short in one annoying way. Changes to them are ephemeral. Useful result, refresh, and it's gone. This is frustrating because the problems I want to help solve are not ephemeral. With physical objects, ephemerality is shocking. Changes are supposed to persist, but there's no obvious digital counterpart to physical objects. Static websites are great, but changes users make to them reset. To get digital objects to act more intuitively, we need to build a whole persistent layer around them. In practice, this means a server with a database, API, templates, and user accounts. There's a lot of efforts to mimic what we take for granted with physical objects. Look what okay. This is frustrating because I want to focus on making the actual thing, not the persistent layer. I'm like a writer who wants to create experience for readers, but I have to keep fixing typewriters. Okay, so this is built from the point of view of someone who likes doing front end, but not really the back end, is what I'm getting. I know a lot of people think front end is a chore and then back end is where the fun part is. So this is interesting point of view. And I can see that. Like, oh, I love these designs. I love these short storytelling articles that he's written. It would be great to ignore all the noise of modern web dev and just build the experience I want. What I need is a primitive concept that's so obvious it feels like a single shapeable object. Static websites don't have enough moving parts. A single shapeable thing turns that into full web apps that have too many moving parts. Let's take an example. A personal dev log I can update over time. There's a surprising amount of work in getting this simple digital object online. Updating it can be a cumbersome process too, and it should be natural and instant. The best workflow I can imagine is the ease of use of a local desktop app you open and edit it, but its changes are persisted online. Yeah, that's true. Once I wanted to open a website and it was very technical to figure out. But I guess that's what the blogs are for. That's like your website, but it's built on another website and it's got all the UIs that makes it easier for you to create what's so-called mini website, like blogs. But a lot of people want to create websites and it's quite hard to figure out, and how to update takes several steps. If only my UI had the power to permanently update itself. When I'm done updating it, people can view it. It will be a better digital object, malleable, shareable, clonable, persistent. Having said that though, once you set you code your own website, you set it up in a way such that from your IDE you can, once you deploy like the branch that you're working on, it can go on live automatically. One of my GitHub websites are set up that way. So yeah, is this article saying that like that's too cumbersome to set up? Which, trying to remember if that was difficult. For memory, no, but it's true that a lot of people that are not into this coding space I'm thinking like my mom or even my brother, I think it might be difficult for them to do it. Think about how many digital objects are designed specifically for this workflow. You open it, you modify it, you share it. This is the life cycle of website builders, docs, multimedia editors, business dashboards, so on and so forth. What kind of thing could encapsulate this workflow in a single small package on HTML file? Of course, most web apps already use HTML with a few extra steps in the middle. So HTML to JSON, JSON to server, server to templates, templates to HTML. What if we cut out the middle step, cut out the JSON and cut out the templates? We would be left with a simple, easy to think about stack. Self-updating HTML. HTML becomes the all-in-one database, API, UI, flattening all levels of the stack into one layer, HTML, API, and data into a single HTML. It's a lot less to worry about. User account and HTML interact directly between each other. You will get a full web app with the same amount of code that a static website requires. It's easy to think about. It's a new primitive, a single shapeable object. So would this directly edit HTML? I'm trying to vision how it works in practice. Static websites don't have enough moving parts. A single shapeable thing, that's this. Introducing Hyperclay, a place to host self-modifying HTML files. Hyperclay gobbles up ordinary HTML pages and makes it so changes made to them persist. Okay, that's interesting. Here's how simple your online editable, shareable journaling app could be. Or you could build a way to track the extra hours you worked this week. Extra hours, okay. Persist writes the checked attribute to the DOM. I see. For something more complex, see my personal dev blog. This is a cool idea. And this would mean that you wouldn't have to learn, say things like JavaScript. I mean, for sure there must be a limit to the capability of this compared to JavaScript, but for most websites, it's a cool idea. For something more complex, see my personal dev blog. Click to visit. Personal dev blog. Why does it look all similar? Okay. HTML apps unify UI, state, and behavior into one concept. But best of all, shaping these HTML documents feel like shaping something real, like a physical object. Not in the mood to go down endless rabbit holes just to build a simple idea. Make an HTML app. This is written by David. Okay, interesting idea. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. Why I love making Hyperclay. After 15 years in web dev, I've gained the superpower, knowing when to stop adding features and start shipping. Hyperclay turns that discipline into a tool, giving you the power to publish a lightweight app in one HTML file. Stop stacking up unfinished ideas, get them done. 15 years, that's a long time. This is a really interesting perspective from someone who's got that much experience. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.